This is Pass the Rock.
Welcome back to part 2 of episode 28, Pass the Rock.
Now, do you get any discounts on Anheuser-Busch?
No, but that's why I used to always drink Bud Light in college. Is I was like, this is what got me to college. This is what.
Because I'm like, hold on, you had somebody inside Anheuser-Busch. We didn't need a slush fund.
Oh no, she wouldn't have helped us. What the fuck? That's facts.
What the Rock is cooking.
Let's talk some World Cup.
Sweet. So this is all we're gonna do. This hoops episode is kind of get everybody familiar with what the situation with the World Cup is, and then give you kind of a brief preview of the whole situation, what to look out for if you can. Because let's be honest, I don't think many of us are going to be watching these games live. It's hosted by Manila in the Philippines mainly, but the group games are going to be...
No, I'm just saying that's a big time difference. I think
it's about
15 hours.
It's like 13 plus hours or so, yeah. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to watch the games. Obviously, I'll probably be watching on tape delay as well, but we'll see where we can find those.
Do you have YouTube TV? Do you pay for that?
I do have YouTube TV. I should get a few games.
DVR it to that,
so any of those games will, because I select Team USA on my YouTube TV package. So like NBA, WNBA, like YouTube TV is pretty good, man. There isn't too many basketballs that get dribbled that they don't record for me just in case I want to watch it. And they're right. Even slam ball and all that shit, I didn't have to tell them. They just were like, here you go. Here's some more fucking hoops, bro. They even have a commercial. They have a YouTube TV commercial talking about more basketball is good. So clearly they're investing on to that market. But anyway, these games are held in Manila, Okinawa, and Jakarta. That's Japan and Indonesia for the geographically challenged. They will be streaming on ESPN and Courtside 1891, which is not just some upstart app, actually. It is literally FIBA's streaming app, and it's kind of shitty. It has like 1 star on Apple.
What's it called? One more time?
It's called Courtside 1891, which does make sense when you think about it, but is also a really bad name for something that's ran by FIBA, if I'm being honest.
Is 1891 supposed to be the year Naismith invented basketball?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that could be like a... No, never mind.
It's not great.
I don't
really know what they were doing with that.
Proper ESPN, or is it ESPN Plus stuff?
They should be on ESPN for what little they will be on ESPN. I don't think ESPN will have a lot of the games. They might just have all of them.
I would think like the title game and...
Well, yeah. All of those games should be on a national. So, because that's what they were saying, is Courtside 1891 will basically have all that you need except for the blackout games, which will be on ESPN. I think Fox aired a bunch of the prelim games, but I'm not sure if they still have the rights moving forward, which is a weird one because Fox doesn't give a shit about basketball normally. But of course, it's Team USA, so we can allow the Hoopers then, huh? Fox. Sorry. But anyway, that's whatever. We'll see where it all is. But yes, that's the 2 main avenues.
So I'm currently on Courtside 1981, at least their like desktop website, and
1891.
Yeah, 1891, and it is.
I was like, yeah, you're on the wrong one.
Yeah, it's entirely in Spanish. So,
well, it might have just they have like an auto thing that guessed that you needed Spanish. Actually, sometimes websites do that, and they don't think about how that's not necessarily the smartest thing to do. I did that with my website at first, and then I was like, oh, why does it think I'm in China? Huh?
Oh, that's wild. Okay.
So that might have just been what it did to you. But
it's Courtside 1891.basketball.
Yeah. So, and also, I wouldn't be surprised if FIBA basketball is ran out of Spain.
When it says watch with Max, is that like HBO Max?
I don't know. Oh, damn. Let's see. Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, right? No need to sign up for...
Oh, I feel like that's their Max. It is?
It's got like the logo is like an H and then it says Max, so I'm not really...
Nah, dude, I think that's their... Yeah, I think that's what they call
theirs.
Yeah,
that's... Okay.
So
that's
yeah,
smart, though.
Let's see, where's FIBA headquarters?
You might get people to download it by accident.
Oh, Switzerland. I knew that. I did know that. That's history I know. Whatever. Sometimes you forget how to apply history after you've learned it. Anyway, that's the
So
nitty gritty.
That starts this Friday morning, our time.
Friday. Yes, that's what I didn't do a good job of looking at. Friday,
3 a.m.
8:25. Yes.
Angola in Italy.
Angola. I don't know much
3
about
a.m.
Angola, but I know they're in
Finland
trouble.
and Australia.
Yeah, so all of the groups will start off. I didn't look into that. I actually just here, if y'all want something cool as fuck, I'll give you another one. I'll drop you guys this little file I found. If you want to watch any of it, this will fucking help your ass. It's a whole World Cup schedule that they have. You have to follow it because obviously none of the teams are quite figured out yet, so you have to kind of know how all the seeding works. But I'll explain it a little bit here. So the most important part of this tips off Friday, 8:25. That'll start the first round of group play. That'll continue till Wednesday, the 30th. So the next time after we've potted, they have already gone through that first round of grouping. And then the second round of grouping that'll happen for mostly seeding and classification purposes will happen from the 31st to the 3rd. So group play is basically 2 weeks-ish. But after the first week, I think we'll already kind of had, like, the best teams will probably have advanced and the worst teams will have probably already gone. And we'll just be looking at a couple of the who's finishing wheres. Actual playoffs will start 9-5 with the quarterfinals 9-5 and 6. Classification games will be wedged in between the rounds. So the classification games, if you're not familiar with the World Cup, they like to rank things, and so you can compete for like fucking 7th and 8th place in a basketball game. They got everybody there. Why not? I guess. I think we famously had to compete for 7th place with Greg Popovich one time in a World Cup, and it was really awkward, and everyone was sad about it. But it was a bad year. It was a bad year, but it's okay. We'll get the semifinals on 9-8, another round of classification games on 9-9, and then the third place and championship game on September the 10th. So everything happens pretty fucking quickly within a span of 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, that's a really quick World Cup.
Which we love to see. So part of this, you remember, they rescheduled this to where we'll have FIBA World Cup this year, Olympics next year. FIBA thought this was a great idea, that it would make it, where basketball, because everything is just, what can we do to be basketball 24/7, right? That's all that anybody who works in professional basketball cares about right now, is how do we get closer to soccer, right? They're obsessed with it, regardless of whether they should or shouldn't. And this is a case where maybe they shouldn't have, because now a lot of people aren't playing in this, and it's not just our guys. Like, there's a lot of people who skipped out on the World Cup. So we'll see how that kind of goes moving forward. Maybe it's cooler because it builds up for the Olympics. That'll just be next year. Think about the potential of who could be on all these rosters. It is a lot of fun, and it gives us a little bit of hype before that. But ultimately, it still makes it really feel like the World Cup is meaningless for basketball. So I don't know. Do you guys care about it at all? Does it really matter to you? Ultimately, I don't think anybody cares about the World Cup that much anyway. But like, it being in this year form, does that even? You wouldn't even know if I would have said it right.
No, not quite. To answer that last question, no, I wouldn't have known. Do I care? Like, I would maybe want to care one day if it means something. Like, the players gotta give it meaning, right? That's why the soccer World Cup, the FIFA World Cup means so much, because those players, bro, they die for that shit. Like,
yeah, well, the World Cup is bigger than the Olympics for soccer, so it's a little bit weirder. It's a little flipped on its head there.
Yeah, it's a little in reverse. Where like, Olympic basketball is bigger than the FIBA World Cup, and then
It's just how popularized World Cup popularized soccer, Olympics popularized basketball, so it just naturally has kind of gone that way.
Yeah, so they're gonna need to really figure this shit out to make it so the casual fan cares, because soccer, I mean, like American casual fans don't care until they realize, oh, the American team is playing in the FIFA World Cup. All right, cool, I'm plugged in then. And
Yeah,
then once the U.S. soccer team eventually gets eliminated, then only a small percentage of like the casual fans stick around to see who wins it all, right?
that was gonna be
So
my follow up too. Is it's kind of weird to get Americans to care about a sport that that most of us just assume we're gonna go wax everybody's asses in. Um, so that. I guess that's the other thing is, and I don't know, Patrick, if you wanted to go on the first thing first before I move forward.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and maybe it's, obviously I spend more time listening to sports talk radio than other people do. So, and especially around here with Luca being involved, I hear about it. So I would have known it happened.
Mhm.
I probably wouldn't watch any because of the time that a lot of these games are, though.
Oh yeah,
This isn't an event that I'm gonna do that for. For some reason I will do that for tennis, but that's just about it.
I mean,
I don't
watching it
know what that's
live
about.
is commitment.
And
I'll watch
yeah, and
these
that's
all on
another
tape
thing is
delay.
it's like it's not like the absolute best of the best of our guys from this country get together and compete to make the best team possible, So it's still a really good team, but it's just there's something. If it feels like there's something missing when you're not sending your best.
It's a very hipster team for American basketball fans. Because like if you're really into it, you're like, oh, this team has this, this, and this. Oh, they look at schematically. Oh, they can do small ball. Oh, look at this, this, and this. But then
Right?
ultimately, you're
Yeah.
right. But you're right. They are a very starless group.
I
Probably
mean,
for the better.
there's so much talent that if you could get them to play together properly, then you could probably just mop the floor with not everybody, but most everybody.
Well, and ultimately, I think we'll start to change as a country thinking about the international basketball play once international has caught up closer. And this World Cup is a great chance for them to do that because, as you've noted, and as everybody's noted, I guess at this point, it's not the most loaded, star-studded class that we've ever sent out there. But at the same time, it's it's not easy. It's not going to be fun to play Team USA. They've got a lot of things they can do to fuck you up, just like if we did have all of our superstars. The more of the letdown here is we can afford to lose those guys. Anytime any other country loses one NBA guy, it's a massive difference. It means it means a fuck ton.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it meant more to them, the NBA players back in the day when they weren't getting paid as much to play NBA basketball. There's probably a little bit more reason to risk pride and risk
It's also
yourself to go out there for pride and stuff versus now they're like, I already have hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't need to go do that.
it's also more about a lineage thing
Tens of
too.
millions of dollars.
Yeah. It's more about a lineage thing. That's the thing I think people are not paying enough attention to with the Americans. It's like, look, I get it. I would love to have Steph and LeBron every year. I would love to do it. But at the same, well, Steph I would love because we had never gotten Steph. We've never really gotten international Steph. So yes, Steph I do want eventually. But ultimately,
Eventually, he's gonna be retired in the next 5 to 10 years.
oh well, you guys, there's some Olympic stuff that we're going to talk about. So don't worry about the Olympics are going to be a subject next year. Don't worry about that because there's a lot of rumors about the 2024 men's Olympic team. And I think people should be very excited because the international world is caught up. But I think we might be preparing to send our nastiest group yet.
So you think our players do still respect the Olympic part of it at
Oh
least,
yes.
if not the World
Oh
Cup?
yes. It's a lineage thing. Like I said, it's a lineage
I've
thing.
seen rosters that we've sent outside of the original Dream Team that I don't think were close to being actually the best of the best.
Well, see, but that's a common thing that I don't know that I defend or I agree with because here's the Dream Team is great, but the Dream Team is two of the best players in their prime, Jordan and Barkley. Two of the greatest players of all time, not well past their prime, but Larry Bird is about to be a back injury away from out of the league, and Magic's already out of the league with the HIV thing at this point. So Chris Mullin was a great player. They had a lot of great talent. Drexler, there's a lot of great talent. But fuck, go look at the second team. We sent out fucking Grant Hill before he got injured. Shaq was his running, Shaq is his running mate. Shaq is basically just demolishing people. This is before Shaq gets like another extra 100 pounds. So this is like athletic Shaq. 2000, we sent the goofiest but most athletic team. That's when the dunk happened. The Vince Carter dunk happened. 2004, obviously, we sent a talented team that just didn't make any fucking sense. And then 2008, 2012, I think we sent two of the greatest rosters we've ever assembled.
Was Kobe there in 04?
No,
Kobe
was.
Shaq? Yeah, that's. I mean, maybe that's one that sticks out to me. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the thing that sticks out to me is we didn't send. It seemed like we got to a point where we didn't carry as much, and I don't remember the 08 roster well enough.
08 is 08 is now everybody stepped
Dwight?
up. So 04, no, Dwight's there. 04 is I think it's baby Dwight though. 04
the 04 is that weird Duncan team.
04 it's supposed to be AI Duncan. Only problem is that's probably I apologize. Let's not just let off the hook who the allegedly third best player that team was, or who thought the third best player that team was, Mr. Stephon Marbury.
Okay, yeah.
So look, we had Allen Iverson and Stephon Marbury sharing a backcourt with Tim Duncan.
That's a wild combination.
That is a clash of style if I've ever seen.
Who's putting? I guess I don't know who runs Team USA. Who puts these teams together?
But
I assume it's guys
changed.
who are also working in the NBA. Usually,
it is now. So it was Jerry Colangelo that took over after that. After that embarrassment, Jerry Colangelo took over, and then Jerry Colangelo just retired, and Grant Hill runs the team now.
Are you looking at that list right now of the 04 roster? Because that's a wild roster to look through.
Yeah, the 04 team is tough. Lamar Odom, I love him. Love Lamar Odom, but
you got him. You have a young Melo, a young LeBron.
Yeah, you have all the pups, but they don't play much, and then that's why in 08 they kind of come back because they were the embarrassed on the bench. We didn't get to do anything, and then they come back as the leaders of 08, and then you get the rest.
Richard Jefferson was on that team.
RJ was on that team.
RJ was.
RJ was good, man.
We weren't taking it seriously when we said RJ. All right.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot about it.
Was on that team.
Oh, he was the college guy though. That happens.
Oh, that's right.
I actually forgot. I know why, and I totally forgot about this. It was in the documentary, the Redeem Team documentary. A bunch of players backed out because of 9/11.
From the 04 team?
Yes, go look it up. I forgot about that. We had a run of people not go in 04 because of the fear of terrorism. I swear to God, I forgot about that until just now.
Oh, they thought the next Olympics was going to get attacked. Okay.
Yeah, for fear of terrorism, they didn't want to travel.
Even though there was a Winter Olympics in 02, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I
think that was Salt Lake.
That's just what people say. That was what was in the Redeem Team documentary too. So
makes sense. It would make more sense than someone in an office putting together the team.
Yeah, and shit. Yeah. Stephon Marbury getting a call.
You could have gotten quote unquote worse players and put together a team that made much more sense. Yeah.
Which is basically what we're doing this year. Quote unquote worse players, but they make fucking sense. So it's an interesting one. But yeah, so that was kind of the biggest part. Did you guys have any other massive part? I was just going to break down the groups at this point, just to give you guys an idea of who's actually playing in this motherfucker. And if you want to watch, this is going to give you the best kind of, okay, don't have to worry about this shit, don't have to worry about this shit kind of thing. So, unless you guys have anything else to go on after the history of Team USA basketball.
No.
But I do want to leave with the tease. Actually, I do want to leave the tease. LeBron and Steph Curry, highly rumored to be a part of the 2024 Olympic team.
In what capacity?
Well, LeBron probably LeBron might be like a starter by name, but I would guess that LeBron would probably not need to play a ton of minutes in that.
Who knows? He's a freak, man.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, he could play small ball 5 at FIBA, to be honest. Paolo's about to do it this year.
That's nice
Oh.
though.
I mean, it's the way the way their rules work. We can run our smaller guys out there. Like, as long as we can shoot, we're fine.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be interesting. I mean, because obviously Tatum will be back. He was kind of the star of the last team. He didn't. He chose not to play this year. Honestly, if fucking those two guys signed up, I don't know why KD wouldn't. Which I think that would make KD's fifth time being on the team. So I think KD would be like the all-time Olympic. Yeah, he. I think he's like about to be on term number 4, is what it would
Can't be.
because I started tracking this recently with a tracker, and I didn't do a lot of research, but I think that he had some. I think he's the all-time Team
Is
USA.
he on the 2012? Is he on the 2012 team?
He was.
He would have
Yeah,
to be.
he was
is
on
that what you're
12.
saying? Okay, then yeah.
12s,
Then
yeah.
yeah, you're right.
Was
So
he
he'll
not
be
on
on
the
4.
08 team?
No, because he would have been in college and
Yeah, college in 08.
09.
Or he would have been a freshman, or he would have been he would have been 2 small potatoes at the time. Because that's what I was saying. We use Team USA, especially the World Cup. That is a stepping stool. If you go to World Cup and you can't handle yourself there, then you're not making the Olympic roster in the future, most likely. And all these guys want to make the Olympic roster because since the Dream Team, it's become the new accolade. Yeah, Kevin Durant's three-time Olympic gold medalist.
And then, so if he were to be on this one and win,
4-time, that'd be the only. Oh, him and Carmelo. Carmelo's done 4 tours. That's what it was. But Carmelo's only won 3 golds.
That's right.
He was on the 04 team, obviously.
Yeah, he's on the Beijing, gold on London, gold in De Janeiro. He had a bronze on the Athens.
Right.
And then, yeah.
There you go. So that I would love to see KD do it.
Are we
Tayshaun
going to look
Prince
back
the
on
08 team.
Carmelo's legacy as one of the best Olympic basketball players in Olympic history?
He is Captain America to me as much as anything, but honestly, at this point, Durant will probably oversee. Like I think Durant will overtake that because, like I said, I'd be surprised if Durant doesn't show up to that star-studded lineup. Like it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity too. That's what we don't think enough about with Team USA is if this is the first time we really get everybody. And I feel like LeBron's definitely going to play because he's close to retirement and. He's already the one sending these notes out there. You know what I mean? Like we know when his people are the ones putting sources out there. So, yeah, I think it's going to happen.
Wendy report it?
Oh yeah, it's not just Wendy, but yeah, it was Wendy. It was Wendy giving his little greedy hands on the. I don't know anything, but here's what I know if I did know it.
Little spiders.
I love when he does that. But yeah, so that's pretty much it with the general talk. We will get into it's a little boring, but we'll make it fun because we're not going to do predictions because I don't even know what. I mean, some of these are probably easy to predict, if I'm being honest, but I don't expect you guys to make predictions over who's going to.
Oh, I've got a real good grasp on Jordan versus South Sudan in basketball.
Oh, do you? Because they're not even in the same group.
Well, I'm looking ahead.
So the losers bracket.
It's tease on my predictions. Yeah.
All right, so let's just get into the nitty gritty of it, and we'll stop and let you guys have fun with any of these if they're interesting. So Group A is going to be decent, but kind of not super interesting either. One of the more mediocre groups. So Angola still hasn't announced their roster, but they probably will have Bruno Fernando from the NBA and one of the Angolan League MVPs and a bunch of Basketball Africa League guys, which means whatever. They're gonna. We'll see.
Who's the other guy you mentioned besides Bruno?
I don't know. I didn't list the names because I don't know them. I just know one of them won the MVP of his Angolan League.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know any of these other names.
Yeah. They're gonna
Dimitri Makonda, Garrison Gonçalves.
Yeah. I know that Basketball Africa is doing better. I don't I don't think they're not the African country to be interested in right now. Is what I'm also saying.
I'm looking at a May roster, so
yeah, and that changes quite a bit. So Italy, Angola, I think is probably the fourth team in that group. This one is kind of going to be tough between the top three teams. So it's the Dominican Republic, the Philippines, and Italy. Italy is definitely the powerhouse. They have the history, but they don't have the star power as much. Luigi D'Atomi has been playing for them for quite a while. He had a cup of coffee in the NBA. Nico Mannion had a cup of coffee in the NBA. And Nicola Melli actually played for quite a bit. So they've got three ex-NBA guys, and then they've got two young NBA players in Simone Fontecchio and Gabriel Procida. So those two. So that's law of averages in this World Cup is if you have that many NBA players, you're probably going to be all right. So they're likely to be the favorite. Only thing stopping them is Karl Anthony Towns is playing for the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the face I just made. That was me reading that name on that roster.
Yes, that would be the biggest one. So he also has Juan Montero, who is a fringe NBA guy. I don't think he got drafted, but was at one point a first round talent just a couple years ago. And so he'll be on that group. And then Lester Quiones, who is a new Golden State Warrior and has been showing a lot of interesting flashes that maybe he can take over the Jordan Poole minutes in Golden State. So they do have three guys. That's not bad. And then Big Cat, this is
old Nestor Garcia, dude.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you could have told me most of these dudes played baseball, and I believe you.
Nestor Garcia is their coach.
There you go.
He's from Argentina.
Well, at least that's a good place to pull from. They didn't make it, and they're not happy either. Or no, they did. They make it. We don't have Argentina, did we? Did we get Argentina? No, they didn't make it to. Yeah, we didn't get Argentina. Fuck it, we'll see. There's so many teams. There's way too many teams in this fucking tournament as well. Philippines has Jordan Clarkson and Kai Soto, who's kind of a fringe NBA guy, but Jordan Clarkson's the more important one. They're also the home representative. My prediction is that I kind of hope that Jordan. Honestly, like my narrative for this is always I want the NBA guy to deadlift a team for a little bit, just because like it makes our league look good and it's good for the legacies and stuff.
Luka.
Yes, we'll get to, FIBA did Luka quite some favors. We'll get to Luka's bracket.
Let's go.
But and he needed it this year. Yeah, so I think Big Cat and Jordan Clarkson will be fun. I'm really rooting for Jordan Clarkson in the Philippines the most as the home country, and they love us so much. I hope Jordan Clarkson averages 30. That shit would be cool as fuck. But anyway, not too crazy of a group there. Angola, like I said, probably dead last, and then the top three are pretty competitive, even if none of these teams really has much of a shot at the title or at winning a gold or medaling, really. I mean, maybe one of them, but even medaling is going to be tough for just one NBA player in a whole country. Group B, that's where we're going to have probably the least competitive, arguably. Puerto Rico is pretty good. Tremont Waters, Isaiah Pinheiro, and John Holland have all had cups of coffee in the NBA, and but their best player, Juan Jose Alvarado, is not. Or not Juan Jose. Why would I give him JJ's first name? Jose Alvarado is not playing. He is not playing. He's injured and he is sad.
Isaiah Pinheiro?
Yeah, Isaiah Pinheiro.
Ismael Romero?
I don't know who that is.
Or Philip Wheeler.
Philip Wheeler, I looked up. Yeah, Philip Weaver has had a cup of coffee as well.
Is that G League?
Yeah, that's G League. Yeah, that'd be G League. I think John Holland might have won a championship with the Cavs in 2016.
What about Jordan Howard?
Jordan Howard is not the more famous of the brothers. He was pretty good in college, but his brother Marcus Howard was the bucket getter, and Marcus is overseas getting buckets. But I don't think he's playing for anybody internationally. But yeah, so Puerto Rico's an interesting group, but probably going to finish Best second. I guess the good thing is you could finish second in this bracket pretty easily. China has basically just Kyle Anderson and a bunch of
China. Yeah, how did that work?
tall. So they paid him, but his mom is also Chinese, so it's okay.
That's fine.
And you're allowed to do it once, as Hakeem Olajuwon did, as most notably Eric Gordon did.
You'd think there'd be more like when you look at some of the other countries. I said like Karl Anthony Towns kind of stuck out, but not nearly as bad as Kyle Anderson's name sticks out because China doesn't have because like a bunch of these other countries have guys from all over,
right?
Or at least
Yes.
with last names from all over. But China is 17 Chinese names and Kyle Anderson.
Yep, exactly. So interesting, but yes, it's. Good for Kyle Anderson. I don't think China's going to get out of this round because that's still a lot. I think Puerto Rico is still a really good team with a lot of talent. You're sitting perfectly for that, by the way. I don't know if you realize how perfectly you're sitting for that.
Ooh. Man.
Anyway,
That was a choice.
Serbia.
Purposeful or not.
No, I forgot entirely. There's a finger underneath this basketball.
For the audio only listeners, are going to be so confused. But let's leave them that way.
That's on YouTube. That's where we want you anyway. The team will be heavy favorites. They will not be with our boy Jokic, but they will have a Jovic. So the young Nikola Jovic will get his first international play. Bogdan Bogdanovic, not the one that plays for the Pistons, but the backup guard for the Hawks, will be the best player for that group. Pokashevsky will be one of the players, and Filip Petrosov probably. He will be
the accents over the S. So
yeah, I try, but I fail sometimes. And he's new. Like, he hasn't played for the Sixers yet. This will be his first year playing for the Sixers, so we'll get his. We'll learn that better as the year goes on.
I feel like I've heard of Nikola Milutinov, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm.
There's some other guys I probably left off. That there's Serbian dudes will come and go.
No, he doesn't have any American anything.
Yeah, the Serbian guys.
Oh, you know what? You know what? He was drafted by the Spurs in 2015.
Oh, there you go. That's why it stuck. What was his name?
I don't know what happened, but he never came over here. Nikola Milutinov.
A lot of times they don't want to be role players. Yeah, if he's actually good, he doesn't want to be a role player, or he knows he's not good and he wants to stay making that cash at home.
The Spurs traded his draft rights 6 years after drafting him to the Nets, who I guess have that now.
Oh. Well, that must have been for just basically a transactional move.
He's only 28, so I guess he could still come over here. But yeah,
you could try. Probably past that point though for those guys. But our biggest country to talk about in Group B is the one that we kind of were confused on when I introduced it, when I announced the teams, however long ago that was. The South Sudan. Fun fact: this is
on their roster.
Yes, they do. I'm glad you wrote that down. I was going to write it down, but I'm very proud of you for.
I'm looking at it.
Handled it. Yeah.
Just to be fair,
I know. This is their first World Cup because they are the newest country on Earth. Yeah, that is fact.
I was not aware of that.
They were established as a country in 2013, I believe. Double fact check that because I got that from Windy Windhorst again with his little factoids.
According to worldpopulationreview.com, that is the newest country. Yes.
Nice.
Followed by Montenegro in June of 2006 and Serbia in June of 2006. Obviously.
Oh, damn. Wow, that's crazy.
Some stuff happening there that we probably need to get into here.
Yeah, whole Soviet bloc.
2011 for South Sudan is at least when they voted. It says they split from Sudan in 2011. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So Luol, this is a passion project for Luol Deng. They have an interesting group of players. I'll let you announce your favorite player after this because he, as far as I'm aware, is not a big part of their roster. Nuni Omant, I believe, is how you pronounce his name, is the Basketball Africa League MVP and helped his team win the title this year. Carleek
Plays
Jones.
for the Taichung Suns.
There you go. Carleek Jones is one of our boys. Played for the Legends for a little bit, actually, while I was working with the Legends. And he won G League MVP last year with the Windy City Bulls. Winion Gabriel, currently a free agent, but had played the last 2 years as a Laker.
I've never heard the name Winion before, but Winion's a really cool name.
Honestly, I fuck with it. It feels like an old white dude name, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of in that like Wyatt, Waylon.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it has to be said with a drawl. Winion, hey Winion,
Winion.
Winion, get over here.
That would just be a Winion if it was spelled like that. Winion.
Winion. True. And then Mariel Shayok and Peter Jock were fringe NBA guys at one point and are now whoever knows where.
Yeah, Joke's not even listed as like, or Jock or whatever. He's not even listed as like part of anything. Where it's like they all have like a club listed. He doesn't have one at all.
Interesting. Well, yeah, he was a weird one. He was kind of one of those internet celebrity guys that popped up in scouting and then never lived up to obviously what the internet saw of them. So yeah, and then there's one last player that you would like to talk about.
Oh, see, I don't know. I know about the coach, if that's what you're referring to.
Was that not the South Sudan? Wasn't the roster that had the inappropriate pun name? Did I
Coke Bar?
Oh, it was Cock Bar. That's what it was.
Cock Bar. I pronounce that Coke because of the brothers.
Yeah, well, I pronounce it Cock Bar because that's what I want it to be.
I think Coke Bar would also be a.
Oh, and there was Sunday Deck, which just cracked me up. That's not that funny. I just thought that was an interesting name. But that wasn't South Sudan, was it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's not. He doesn't
the
show
coach.
up on it.
This is their August 10th roster that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I think he got taken off of
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But you know who their coach is.
Yeah, Cock
right?
Bar. Yeah. All right, cool. Anyway, who's their coach? Oh, their coach is Royal Ivy. I do know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know that.
Former
UT
Texas
great.
Yeah. And really good assistant coach in the NBA.
He's still,
right now.
he's still with the Rockets, I think. Yeah.
No, Royal was he might have just got to the Rockets, but he was with he was in the Nets with KD.
May 2023, he joined with Ime.
Okay, yeah, so he just signed on with the Nets or the Rockets. Yeah, he was a Nets assistant there for a second. I think he was a Pop assistant first, but I don't remember at this point.
No. Oklahoma City, G League, Oklahoma City,
right,
Thunder,
Oklahoma City,
Knicks, Nets, Rockets.
San Antonio Light, Oklahoma City. Only thing they haven't done is get the titles.
Never gonna happen either.
I don't know, bro. The Super Soldiers program is working, man.
They didn't do it with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden and Serge Ibaka. I just don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna do better than that.
That's fair, but there's some fundamental basketball that was
How many MVPs? Let me do my how many rings, Ernie? How many MVPs, Jacob?
I feel you. I get it, but I think that as much as I love that Oklahoma City team, especially in video games, I think that there's a reality we have to come to.
That might be in like the top 3 teams I've hated the most in all NBA history. I hated them so much. They were so good. It was awful.
They were, but they also had a lot of assholes too. Like even their role players, they had a lot of pricks. Like Serge Ibaka's not a nice dude. Russ obviously talks a lot of shit, and then even like Savalosha and like they had some goon ass players. Perkins, they had fucking Perkins out there just to be a goon for a little bit. So yeah, I feel you on that.
Derek Fisher went and joined those.
Fisher was shit, yeah.
When he left
Yeah.
the Mavs for quote unquote personal reasons or whatever. I think that's
The second time
one
in
of the
his
most
career.
under talked about things in the NBA that he got away with that entirely.
Twice.
It shouldn't even be legal. I don't think it is. I don't know how it worked, but
He did it twice, Patrick. He did it to the Mavs, and that's what you remember. He also did it to the Jazz to go back to the Lakers.
yeah, I don't care about the Jazz. But yeah,
But it's just
I mean, I
crazy.
don't
He
care
did
about
it
the Mavs either.
twice.
But yeah, I don't.
That's
Derek
how he got
Fisher
back to
sucks.
LA. He goes
Everything
to
about Derek Fisher sucks.
because they
And
Derek Fisher dipped out and got the money by Golden State, and then Golden State dumped his ass to Utah, and he was like, "Nah, you're going back to LA one way or another." But to be fair, he said his daughter was dealing with a medical emergency and he had to be close to home. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just telling you the whole reality of what's been reported, and you can make the judgments and assessments yourself. Yeah, I mean, I've always felt the same because guess what? He went back to LA to go do, and guess what? About time that was right about right before the Powell trade, right as Kobe was getting his way again. Convenient. But anyway, let's see.
Who's next?
Group C. The group we'll all be familiar with. There will be this little known country.
Yes, basketball legend Thomas Walkup.
Thomas Walkup will play. So let me break down the three teams that are unfortunately in this bracket. We have the Tall Blacks of New Zealand, who actually
Patrick uncomfortable with its name.
Well, that's understandable. The reality is that they don't have their one tall white player that we all know, Steven Adams. So I don't really know I don't know any of these players. Finn Delaney apparently is pretty good. I don't know what the fuck that is, but like good for him. The one thing I know is they do the haka, so we maybe get another great video of our players or other players reacting to the haka again. I mean, how else will you guys remember that Kenneth Faried played for Team USA once?
Animal.
I'm just saying, how would you remember?
He'll probably go down as the most obscure NBA player I'll ever remember.
He was really good, but yeah, the NBA just was one of, and he would have been a slam ball MVP. Slam ball, Wilt Chamberlain of
He's a
slam
big three.
ball.
What's he doing?
Probably. Well, last year he was in the G League. Actually, I got to watch him play for your team, for the Austin Spurs last year.
You know what? I remember that, and that's hilarious. And I was very surprised that he was still playing competitive basketball.
Yeah, and I think he might have went to play with the Capitans.
I feel like he's got to be like 40, but
yeah. I mean, he's chasing a dream. He's probably my age. Yeah, around my age. But anyway, New Zealand's probably fucked. Greece is fucked, but they might be the second best team out of this just because they're lucky. They will not have Giannis. Thomas Walkup apparently is a Greek descent, so that's how he got to do it. But Thomas Walkup was a pretty decent college basketball player for the college hoop fans. Only other notable name is Papagiannis and Thanasis. Thanasis will be the only Antetokounmpo representing Greece this year. But Papagiannis will be on there. Papagiannis is kind of on the fringe of the NBA again. Always kind of has been. So we'll see. Or no, Papagiannis is already out of the league. I was thinking of Goga Badatsi, who's on a different team. Anyway, Papagiannis out of the league. Decent player. Had a cup of coffee in the NBA. And I don't know anybody from Jordan. I know Dar Tucker apparently was a great G League player about 10 years ago. He's just been a good international player since and a good overseas player. And I don't know if he's actually officially on the roster. I didn't double check this, but I believe Rondé Hollis Jefferson plays for them.
As of August 20th, he was on the roster, yes.
Yeah, so that one's the fun one. Rondé Hollis Jefferson, I don't know the history on that one. Honestly, Grande's been out of the league for a minute too. But
2021, he was with the Blazers
okay, so not that
in
bad.
some capacity.
Yeah, at the end of it. Okay. Well, that's an NBA player technically. Doesn't matter much for this situation because the final team in this bracket is your beloved US of A. We talked a little bit about the USA, who's representing, how good that would be, blah blah blah. We don't need to reiterate all that. But we will talk about just what we've seen so far as what Team USA will look like. Give you a brief highlight. Unfortunately for me, Brandon Ingram has decided that he wants to be the veteran, the glue guy, the chill boy, the locker room dude. And I appreciate that. That may be good for the Pelicans, honestly, because he's going to need to do that if Zion's playing a bunch. But the good news is Anthony Edwards is about to get the biggest fucking green light of his career on a national stage or on an international stage. And I think the whole world's going to be excited about it. He's not the only thing to be super duper excited about with this group, but he is the star power. He's going to be the guy. Herb came out and said it. The shot selection has already come out and said it itself. They're running plays for him primarily. So, yeah, Ant is our best player this year. Doesn't seem to be too much confusion there. And then the only other person I would really say is kind of the biggest part of this equation is Jaren Jackson Jr., who's essentially a cheat code for FIBA. As long as he doesn't foul out, which is a problem for him and could be a potential problem in FIBA. You only get 5. It's a shorter game. So that'll be interesting. If not, Paolo Banchero, Walker Kessler, and Bobby Portis will have to play a lot of the 5, and then that's where we get a little sketchy and a little vulnerable. Otherwise, it's a great group around it. We've got fucking Mikal Bridges just to throw at people as a defensive stud. You know what I mean? Like who did we play? Germany, and we just said, oh, you have Dennis Schroeder? Well, here's fucking Mikal Bridges to guard him. Like that's a bitch. That's a big bitch. That's why Team USA is just, they're not sexy. No one's gonna call this the greatest USA team assembled, but they're a fucking sturdy ass ship. And even if they're gonna go through some struggles, Jordan, Greece, and New Zealand are a fucking miracle draw to iron out the problems before they got to play real teams. And they already played real teams well anyway, but as you guys can tell, I don't have much of a... That's the only one I'll probably go on a prediction for, and I'll say that the USA is going to go ahead and take that. That and Serbia. Serbia doesn't win their group. That's insane, too. Group D is also along the same lines, probably worse. All jokes aside, Egypt doesn't have a whole lot. They're just not good. Egypt's got a guy who dropped 42 in a prelim game on South Sudan, so that's cool.
Nice, good for him.
Paco Cruz is Mexico's star player. He's like a Turkish league player, and Turkish league is probably second, third best league in the world.
Let's go. All right.
Juan Toscano.
Francisco Cruz.
Yes. Paco is the nickname.
Just making sure.
Juan Toscano Anderson has obviously been in the NBA, although he's probably more on the outskirts of the NBA now. And then Jorge Gutierrez was a Nets prospect for a bit and then has been overseas since. So a little bit of NBA experience for the Mexican national team, which does help them. But unfortunately, this does have a top 2 that's pretty tough. I would say
my people don't have a chance right now.
I'm saying that they do, thankfully, because Lithuania doesn't have Domantas Sabonis. That being said, it's still fucking Lithuania, and they will eat and breathe basketball.
Hey, yeah.
So, you know what I mean? I wouldn't, and they're gonna have Jonas Valanciunas still anchoring it down. Rokas.
If I just read you, I was gonna say, if you just read the entire roster, you'll be intimidated by just these names.
Oh, I know. So let me see if I can do it. So Iggy Brazdakis, I don't know his first name, but we called him Iggy when he was
Ignis.
Yeah.
IGNAS. Ignis.
And then Rokas Yabuktas, I think. He played in the NBA for a second.
Jokubaitis.
Jokobitis. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly how you do it. It is a Jokobitis. The Montashunas. He played in the NBA for quite a bit.
Which name was that?
Montashunas was the last name. Motie. Montashunas.
Donatus. Montashunas. Motiej. U with a straight line accent above it. NAS. I don't know.
And there is a prospect to look at. Azulas Tibelis. That's probably also wrong, but he played at Arizona last year, went undrafted, and this will be a great opportunity for him to possibly pick up some steam in his career.
I don't know if he's on the final roster.
Lithuania, let's see. Oh, and Sergivas. I forgot to add him. I don't think he's in the NBA anymore. Yeah, maybe it looks like he's set. Or didn't make the roster. Yeah, I didn't update that, or maybe that changed last minute. So you're right. Good catch on that. That's all the other ones.
Names. I was trying to make the sounds you were making make sense with the letters I was looking at.
The Vidas Servidas, I think, is the other guy who has been.
Yeah, the guard.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he's a guard / forward.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for Lithuania. That's probably going to do it to win the first, be the number one team out of that group. Number 2 should be Montenegro, led by Nikola Vucevic. Although this is a good opportunity for Montenegro to win. Kendrick Perry is their naturalized American guy. He's I don't know what kind of role he is. I think he's just like an elite defender, role man in EuroLeague, in La Liga. But Kendrick Perry is a pretty good player, and then Marcos Simanovic also had a cup of coffee in the NBA. I don't think Kendrick Perry did. I think he was just a G League player, but he is a really good international. Has had an international career that's been very successful. So Montenegro has a little bit to go on. Vucevic kind of coming off a tough year, did get the contract extension from the Bulls, so maybe a good time for him to reiterate his value to the world. And no better time than having Egypt and Mexico in your bracket, and then Lithuania without its best player. So can't ask for a much better chance to do it there. But it should be no matter what. Lithuania and Montenegro should be the 2 that come out of that group.
I'm pretty sure I drafted Petar Popovic on FIFA once. As one of those, like, you get his international rights, and if he ever comes, you get him.
Yeah,
he didn't
Popovich.
turn into much.
Yeah. Group E. Group E is probably, I guess, the death group, if you want to call it that. Although it only has it has 2 teams that could contend for medals. It has 4 teams that have decent NBA talent, is what I'll say. You have Germany, you're going to have Isaac Bonga, Dennis Schroeder, Franz and Mo Wagner, and Daniel Theis, which isn't a bad group. Bonga's not in the NBA anymore, but he was there for a bit. Schroeder, pretty good. Franz Wagner could be one of the greatest young players we have in basketball. And then Mo and Theis are they're solid NBA guys. They also have some, Germany's a good team and a good country with a lot of history. So they have the ability. Finland is pretty much just Lauri Markkanen for the most part. I don't believe because he's over there fucking fighting for him. They might as well let him play. Or,
not on the
quote
roster.
unquote fighting. Huh? He's
I
not?
don't think he's on the roster. No.
They have him on the FIBA roster on FIBA's website. So potentially Lauri. Let's see. But I can Google that shit real quick.
According to Wikipedia, he's not on the roster announced on August 10th.
He said he would. Yeah, Lauri's playing.
Okay.
Yeah. So Lauri's in there, and then Miro Little is a freshman at Baylor who's apparently got a lot of hype. And apparently
I thought you were talking about Germany. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah. Finland.
Didn't realize we moved on.
But yeah, Germany's. I mean, they're a good team. They should be the one of the two teams that gets out of this no matter what. Finland and Japan have talented NBA guys, but they're not nearly as deep.
No, I was looking for Lauri Markkanen in Germany's roster. That's
Yeah,
where
that's
the
fair.
confusion stemmed from. Yeah.
But yeah, so you get Miro and Laurie in Finland, and then Yuta Watanabe and Rory Hachimura leading Japan. They also have Yudai Baba, who has been a really big part of the Texas Legends program for a little bit. He's a pretty good shooter. So you have those three guys, and then ultimately the best team in this is most likely going to be Australia. Many people are picking them to be a medalist team, and some people even think that they have a chance at gold, which I think is a little hefty. They're going to be led by Josh Giddey, the young superstar in the making potentially, and then two Dallas Mavericks, Josh Green and Dante Exum, a young upcoming guard and Dyson Daniels, and old ass Joe Ingles and Patty Mills, Matisse Thybulle, almost Maverick, and Thon is still out there playing basketball. Thon Maker will be there, although Jock Londale, if he's healthy, will probably be the primarily starter.
What about the guitar legend? Is he playing?
Jack White is playing for the team. Jack White, two different Jack Whites, both extremely Caucasian. Extreme. One is fluorescent Caucasian. That's the guitarist.
Nice.
A little more pale.
This Jack White, not as pale, but close. Pretty close though, actually.
Pretty great. Is that the outside of obviously the United States? Is that the most NBA laden roster in here?
No, Canada and France will be the other one we'll have to get to. But yes, they're contending. Australia's as close as you're gonna get. Yes,
it's a lot. I mean, you're only looking at 1, 2, 3 guys who are not NBA players on there.
Yep. So that's a big deal. They will most likely be a medalist team for that reason. I like Germany still. Germany's feisty as fuck, but ultimately, I think unless Franz Wagner really takes a massive step up, and Dennis Schroeder loves, and he's always good at World Cup, but it would be fun to see them pull that upset. But Australia should be coming for blood this year, and I think they'll handle their business. Group F, we won't waste too much time on, except for the fact that the Wonder Boy is the star of it. The Splows will be having some injury issues getting into their group. So Mike Tobey is on the roster, but I believe he's injured, which is not a great thing. That's what Luka's big that he likes to roll with. Really helps them do a lot. Konkar got injured to start this campaign in like the first qualifying or not friendly game. He got hurt, and then Zoran Dragic is the only Dragic brother playing with Luka as Goran is retired. So Luka will definitely be doing as much deadlifting as he's ever done of Slovenia, which may sound crazy to people who have only ever seen him do that, but ultimately. They're just not a deep country, and they've just had some fucking unlucky injuries. That being said, Venezuela doesn't have anyone. They're the oldest team in the group and the whole competition. Georgia has fucking Goga Bedazzi and Sandro Mamukshvili. Mamukshvili, I don't even know how to pronounce it all that well. I like Mamukshvili, whatever. What do you guys pronounce? Y'all just say Mamu in Spurs Nation now, huh?
I mean, yeah, Mamuk maybe, but yeah, or Sandro. You're not going to try to get the full. I'm going to try it.
Well, I hope he makes
Mamukalashvili. Mamukalashvili.
Mamukashvili, I think is what. I think it's only 3. Mamukashvili.
I mean, I'm reading it right now. It's like the Vili is the very last part.
Yeah, the
Mamukalashvili.
So those two guys are decent NBA role players, but certainly not world beaters.
funny to have Mamukalashvili and Thad McFadden. Which,
Say
okay, I'm
Fad
a little
McFadden.
confused here.
Okay.
This seems like a fake player because it says his club is named Murica. Oh, Murcia. Okay, I'm just dyslexic.
Mercia.
Okay.
America on the brain.
I thought for
Yeah.
sure that was a Wikipedia troll. Thad McFadden sounds like the fakest name in the world.
For real. Honestly, a lot of these names. I mean, Gregor Glass. There's a lot of names as you go around. You're just like, who? The last team in the group is the Cape Verde. The whatever the however we're gonna look at them. I don't. They're a small country. They have Edie Tavares, who was just the EuroLeague's best player. I think is trying to be an NBA player again. Had been an NBA player. So we'll see what that is. Ultimately, I guess that's the only team that would be able to threaten Slovenia for the top spot because they're the only person who has a top tier player. But ultimately, I mean, this is a really shitty group. Like mostly because Luka is playing with no one as well. So I'm glad that Luka has the opportunity to put on a quite an impressive highlight reel and stats show. But this could be a lot of really bad basketball to get us through that. So Slovenia should be your team going out of there. Georgia's got a history. Venezuela's got some history, but Cape Verde's got the best players, so they're probably the second team coming out of that group. Group G, shout out to Payman Hagigi and the, he would just call it Iran. We don't need to call it by what they want us to call it. Iran will pretty much be returning a large roster of players that none of us have ever fucking heard of, except for Hamad Haddadi, who is older than nuts at this point. And I believe is playing. I think he did have an injury that was going to slow him down. Only thing that could be interesting with Iran is that Haddadi might be closing in on some sort of historical record because, like, I mean, this dude has literally been playing for Iran since I was a kid. Multi-generations. So that's all you get out of him. Ivory Coast, I didn't do a double check on. Are they actually... Where in the fuck are they on my list? That's weird.
I don't see anyone with a current NBA name next to their Mike Fofana, Charles Abuo, Cedric Ba, Solo Diabut, Fafessa Fofana.
Dude, they didn't even put him on the
Ray,
FIBA tracker.
Zozua. It might be under Cote d'Ivoire.
Oh, thank God. Okay, here we go. I was like, bro, what? Yeah, I don't
Was it under
recognize the
the
name.
French Cote
Yeah,
d'Ivoire?
it was French, under French.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's good that I looked it up because I had Alex Polthria still playing for them, and that does not appear to be the case. So I don't know any other players they have. Good luck. The two teams that we will care about: Brazil, Marcelo Hartes. I believe did he play? Who did Hartes? Hartes played for the Lakers, I think, for a bit. Raul Neto, Didi Luzada, I think Luzada, Bruno Caboclo, Cristiano Felicio. All of those are sort of fringe NBA players. Raul Neto, probably the most decorated, although he's at the end of his career too, or a little older in his career. Brazil's probably the second team come out of that, unless Iran, who has regularly appeared in this, has enough chemistry. Otherwise, the number one team in the world, yes, the number one team by rankings I do not understand, Spain, is the best, should win this easily. Sergio Llull's probably their best player, although he's a little old. He's
I don't know. They just lost their guy earlier this month.
What are you talking about?
Ricky Rubio.
Oh, right. Ricky Rubio retiring. I did have him on my list, so I do need to delete that. Yeah, Ricky Rubio. That's kind of fucked up, but I'm glad he took some time for his mental health. Hopefully he'll come back to the NBA. Probably not. He'll probably just stay home and hoop pro for the rest of his days if he does decide to come back. But shout out to him for acknowledging that he needed a break. Dude's been playing since he was like 16. Yeah. And it's a break from international and NBA. So I know you just said that for this, but to clarify for anyone listening, he is going to basically retire.
I didn't even know if he was even on a roster right now.
He essentially is a cap. Like the Cavs had him last.
That's why I didn't
they would
know.
have him back for a vet minimum if he wanted it. I'm sure. So, Alex Sabrinas, both Hernan Gomez's, Salty Aldama, and Rudy Fernandez. Rudy Fernandez still doing his thing too for the Spanish team. So they have a lot of guys that maybe we don't know as much, but we forget that Spain's basically the second best place to go play pro ball at. So it's not a big deal that guys like Sergio Llull and Rudy Fernandez never really gave the NBA. The NBA maybe never gave them a fair shot, but they've made very successful, borderline, probably Hall of Fame careers overseas. An interesting name to talk about here, and they'll let us sidetrack into a little Dallas Mavericks talk if we wanted to. Usman Garuba, who just was recently cut by the Oklahoma City Thunder after being traded from the Rockets to the Hawks to the Thunder, all in one off season, basically a part of 3 organizations, without ever really being a part of any of them. So Garuba's an interesting rim protector. He's a little undersized. He's got athleticism, got length. Most people would expect him to pick up a contract in the NBA again as a trial because he's never really gotten a fair shake. The Mavs are a team that I think would circle that as a big upgrade for very cheap. So Mavs fans should also be looking at Spain because now a motivated Garuba also could be a big part of that group, help them win because, they are a fucking stacked ass group. The only notes on this is Spain is probably going to run away with this group pretty easily. Unless Brazil has anything to say about it. And to finish us up and talk about our one of probably the most interesting group to tune into, we're talking about Group H, led by powerhouse Lebanon.
Yeah.
Second, only to with Latvia not far behind. Need to delete Kristaps Porzingis off this list too, don't I? So Lebanon and
But you still got Bertans.
Yeah, and Krukas, Rodinas Krukas, and Angelis Hasnikas. I don't want to say that anymore. Those guys.
Since I'm not going to attempt there.
Those guys are all borderline NBA players, including Bertans at this point.
And I'm assuming it's Bertans' brother.
Yes, and then, yes, his brother also plays for the team. Not as good of a player, obviously. It'll be interesting. Honestly, the only thing to look at for either of those teams is if Bertans can kind of catch fire with a need here, and he's had great years with FIBA and playing with that team. He's not necessarily the most coveted player in the world, but where did the Mavs send him off to? They dumped him over in fucking Oklahoma City, right? Or
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, they dumped him in. So they dumped him in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City doesn't need him. So this could be a great opportunity for
Laser.
Yes, this would be a great opportunity for the Latvian Laser to reestablish himself as a useful commodity. His salary is not ideal, but if someone's desperate enough, they'll fit him in if they need a shooter. So that's pretty much all you can be interested with those 2 teams. The good news is the top 2 teams in this group are probably the most interesting to watch going into this. If you're looking for a non-American team to watch, Canada will be without Jamal Murray, but it'll be led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, R.J. Barrett, Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, Kelly Olynyk, and every Mavs fan's favorite player, Mr. Dwight Powell. So I have a bottle that sounds like that. Give Dwight a little love here. Texas Legends Dwight Powell bobblehead.
Why is his head turned to the side like that?
I don't know. This is just how they made it.
The man looks like he has a neck problem.
Anyway. Dwight Powell. So pretty good Canada team. We've been talking for almost a decade about how Canada's next up, and they have done jack shit with their talent. They almost fumbled a game to, I think it was Germany, in the friendlies. That was really embarrassing. They ended up hanging in on that and winning. So I'm excited about Canada again. France will be their next closest competitor. Plenty of people think that France has a chance to win the gold. I'm a little bullish on that. Perhaps Wimby, but of course Wimby already said he wasn't going to play in lieu of trying
he
to
ain't
play for
playing.
the future. So I just, and it's really cringy too, because if you guys have paid attention, all France is doing is posting Gobert taking threes in practice and in shoot-arounds. And that's a cringy way to start your campaign. I'm just saying. Even if he hits them, that's cool, but like that's a cringy way to start this. Matthias Lesort, DiColo, Eliakobo, Frankie Smokes. These guys are not necessarily Frankie Smokes a little bit more than the other guys. Names that NBA fans would be too well accustomed to, but they all are really talented guys who either had a cup of coffee in the NBA or have found more success elsewhere. Gerson Yubaseli is another one of those guys. I wanted to point him out because he's a bitch-ass goon. He got suspended this season for his nasty hit or I think he suplexed him actually, on Dante Exum, the newest Dallas Maverick, or one of the newest Dallas Mavericks. And so France has got a lot of bullshit in them. So when I hear people talk about gold with France, I'm like, are we really still talking about the same France? Because we're talking about Nick Batum and Evan Fournier are supposed to carry this group. They're old men. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. They're old. They're barely useful in the NBA anymore in small roles. At this point, I'm sure there's younger French players that are probably better accustomed to or better use of minutes. Unless Rudy Gobert truly gets into something and it takes his game up a notch, has a legacy-defining tournament, I just don't see them. I don't see them winning gold. They can medal. It's not like it's that hard. They're more talented. They're one of the most basketball-rich countries in the world outside of ours. But this is an overrated group. It's time for Canada to shine, baby. So anything less than Canada finishing first in this group, we're considering a failure. Even though they're likely to, squeeze by it too if they want to. I still feel like that's ultimately where we should take off from all this. That's pretty much the hoops. Unless you guys have anything else that you wanted to talk about.
I would just like to say that
Expand
Australia
upon.
is the second most
They are.
NBA team in that tournament. Canada's got 4 or 5 guys who aren't in the NBA, and France clearly has
Yeah,
a few.
Francis. Once I started counting, I was like, oh yeah, that's actually a lot of ex-NBA players at this point.
Canada would be close, but they had like the Scrub brothers, whoever they are, and then like 1 or 2 other guys who were also.
Oh, Jay Scrub.
Is that really
I
the
don't
last
know
name?
them.
Scrub?
Yeah, he was
I was trying to find a way to make a no scrub reference, but
that's Phil Scrub, not Jay Scrub. So that's not even the Scrubs that were in the NBA. There was a Scrub in the NBA with the Clippers not that long
They're
ago.
different scrubs.
Different Scrub.
Good TV show.
Let's see where Jay Scrub is.
One of the best, in my opinion.
Yeah, Jay Scrub he's a Boston Celtic two-way player now, so he's still in the league. We still got a Scrub in the league.
Is he brothers with the scrubs that aren't?
I don't know. If he is, then he should be playing for Canada.
Yeah, I probably should have thought of that.
Zach Edey also is kind of an NBA player. Eventually will be an NBA player, even if he'll just be one of the tall guys that teams put on their roster for the kids. So, yeah. That's pretty much hoops. I mean, unless you guys have any other breakdowns, I'll give you updates, but we're probably going to move towards the W as it wraps up next week. And just kind of mention this as it goes, because this was going to be the most we'll give it, and I'm sure we'll do breakdowns of the playoffs, but otherwise, that's the world.
That's the world. What? baby. Let's give that a round of applause.
World Cup. And even though Jamal Murray won't be making any assists, I'm about to make an assist. There you go, Caesar. Passing the rock. Actually, we need to do it differently. If you're going to pass me the rock like as a basketball pass, I got to get back.
You gotta sling the rock.
That concludes part 2 of episode 28. Thank you.
This is Pass the Rock.
Well, bye. Adjourn your asses.